What you're about to see is a clip from a podcast I did with Dom from Dominating Your Investments. He's a cybersecurity analyst and he's in cybersecurity sales. So he knows the industry very, very well. This podcast was a phenomenal podcast. I'm going to leave it in the description if you want to check out the whole thing. In this specific clip, we are talking about Palantir's SPAC strategy. And it is his belief that this is one of the most secret strategies that a company could ever have, right? Kind of like under the hood. And then a lot of companies aren't implementing this. And for a publicly traded company to be valued at $30 billion, to be taking these little bets on these small, basically startups that are going public, is a pretty big deal given the type of analysis they've done about how these startups could play out. And I've done a lot of videos over the past couple of days about how their SPACs like Tritium and Wejo are starting to like integrate with their product offerings, given that Palantir is actually partnering with them. So really, really interesting stuff. So this is the SPAC strategy. Check out the full podcast if you're interested. And shout out to Dom because he was awesome given his analysis talking about Palantir. Hope you guys enjoy.
We want to make sure that this is a platform. And one of the ways that you can get a lot of customers to jump on the bandwagon quick is if you can make it the core. And really, I think the Skywise example is what started all this, is that they saw the impact and the millions of dollars that they saved, Airbus did, with 15,000 plus employees using it.
Yep.
Why don't we help out startups who don't have the funding, who have the vision, right? They have the talent, they have the visionaries and the founder-led CEOs, but they don't have the banking, they don't have the money, and they may not have all the resources or even know how to put all the software and infrastructure together to get off the ground fast. Instead of piecemealing everything, let's help them out. We'll invest in their stock and let's lay Foundry as the core operating system for them to build their business. And you've seen that with Wejo. You saw this with Rigetti, with the quantum compute. You saw this with Energy Vault, which is a company I'm heavily interested in to learn more about. And they're picking very important industries that are riding tailwinds into new and emerging trends that we're going to see. We're going to see things happen with crypto. We're going to see things happen with quantum compute. We're going to see things happen with life sciences and more health breakthroughs than ever before, and personalized medicine. So they're not just throwing money. The media kind of made it seem like they were just throwing money willfully at any SPAC because that was the cool thing to do, and that's how they're driving their revenue and their growth. But they're picking very specific companies. Like, let's take, for instance, the DuPont Therapeutics, right? The new
deal they just announced. Yep. A new partnership.
So I haven't dug super into it. I just read the article about it. And what was really interesting was Palantir commented on why they chose them. The head of their biology and life sciences division said, DuPont Therapeutics, they do what's called biology concentrates, molecular concentrates. And I honestly don't know what that is because I haven't taken the time to fully.
It's basically taking molecules and diluting them and trying to do drug discovery within the liquid of the molecules.
Okay. Yeah. So totally different way than what, say, Schrodinger would do with physics and software, or Abcelera would do with antibodies and software and AI. So they said, and they commented that we really feel like they're doing something unique in the health life sciences field, and we think they're onto something, and we want to help them grow their business, and we want them to succeed. And one thing we can say that we've learned from history in the last 2 years, maybe 3 years, of watching these SaaS-based companies really blow up and do well so quickly, the companies that are customer obsessed and customer focused and have revenue models that are consumption based, they do very well.
Right. Especially in the beginning, when they're not focused on getting profitable, but just getting a ton of market share and getting people so integrated with their software to the point where they can't leave the software at that point.
Correct. And going back to that business model, so we go through acquire, expand, and scale. Acquire, they basically don't make any money, but they're getting to basically do a free POC, right? They're getting their forward deployed engineer in there. They're doing that proof of concept. They're getting it deployed quickly and start figuring out solving problems for the customer. Then they go into the expand stage where they start really tailoring it to more critical problems in the business, other departments, expanding out to other segments. And then after the proof in the pudding has happened over these 5 or 6 months, then all of a sudden it goes to the scale and it goes company wide. And that's when they make all their money back, and their gross margins are 78%.
Yeah, it's about 80%. Yeah.
So that's pretty darn good when you consider all the money they're losing on the front end of that sales motion. And they're speeding the sales motion up, as we've seen with just the product is it's so much better now with deployment with Apollo, that they're getting through those first 2 stages. Some companies are even skipping the second stage and say, let's just sign the contract. Like, let's go.
Right. It's almost like they're consulting in the very beginning with getting them to realize how the product could help the company and giving them a couple months to really integrate it. And then it's become an actual sale. So like they're doing the hard work of getting you to realize how much money you're going to save. And then once you realize that, then you just buy the product because you're going to save money.
Well, and why that business model is so unique is I've really never seen it at this scale, to where, I mean, think if their product was horrible or had any kind of failures, they would never get to stage 3.
Yep.
And they would keep losing money and losing customers, right?
Yep.
But what we've seen is once they get to stage 3, all of a sudden the big contracts get signed, and it's a multi-year contract. And what people forget is that, I did a video on this on my YouTube channel, was as the years go by, the contribution margin goes higher.
Right.
So it's the profit margin, essentially, in a way, of just that product, right? Of that service.
Right.
And so once you've done the hard work of getting them set up, you put people out there, you've consulted, you've gotten them using other, that's all money out of your pocket that you're not getting. But once you go to scale phase and you're in these multi-year contracts, you've done all the hard work. Now what they're going to do is they're going to find other ways to use this product and come back and say, can we use this for, the factories? Can we use this for our laboratory? Like I think we have other use cases here. And what you see is the expansion of the company's use cases keep growing. And so by definition, like you said, it's going to be way too hard to rip out, because it's now literally the operating system of your business.
Right.
But the other piece is that it's expanding in ROI and value. Why would you leave? Right? Why you've now got a customer who's going to be reoccurring revenue. And that's the definition of software as a service, is that reoccurring, guaranteed, predictable revenue. The only way you do that is being customer obsessed and having a product that is so good you're not going to switch. And that's what I think Palantir is.
It's almost like CRM and AWS in the early days, because CRM was like a whole new way for you to manage leads and prospect leads and then get to the close as a software for the company. And once you have a Salesforce, every company has a Salesforce that can use CRM. AWS in 2006 was like, all right, we're going to get rid of all these like physical servers and all your data is going to go to the cloud. And once your data is in the cloud, it's so much more efficient than being on physical servers. So you're never going to leave AWS. So if this cliche that we keep hearing is true, that data is the new oil, and every big company, organization, even small company, is going to have immense amounts of data to analyze. If Palantir becomes the CRM AWS of that data over the next 2 decades, it seems like they would be in every potential company in the world, like CRM and AWS are.